Alright guys, we are Machines here, back with another tutorial. Today's going to be a little bit of a different style of music. It's going to be, I guess you call it future beats. And with that style of music, it's more about like synthesizers and doing interesting things with them. A little more upbeat, heavy bass. You know, you'll know if you've listened to that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think part of what makes you a better producer is learning how to do different styles of music, figuring out what those kind of producers are doing to get those sounds and whatnot, right? And also fixed my webcam, so it's in this groove pool now. Had a couple complaints about that, but now we're good. So let's have a listen. Cool. So you get the point. Yeah, I never really released this song. I think I posted on my Instagram once, on my story. So make sure you follow my Instagram if you haven't. It's wearemachines_. But let's get into this, alright? So we'll go sound by sound based on the song. So it starts off with these two things right here. Let's see what it is. We got like a like these wide pads doing a weird little modulated filter thingamabob. Alright. So the first thing, let's solo this, give it a play. So yeah, it looks like this is just silent. Let's take a look at what's going on here. So we have a square wave with 8 voices detuned, and a saw wave with 2 voices not detuned, right? But this oscillator's pitched up an octave. So if we, let's see, let me pitch up my keyboard. Alright, so if I take out the second oscillator, you can hear what the first one's doing. Alright, square waves, detune. If I bring this one back in, see what the second one is doing. Here it's just higher pitched. Right, a little bit of a different sound, but yeah, I like doing that with oscillators, you know. having like two different waves forms going, doing different things. Yeah, alright, so let's look at, so you hear that modulation, it's like choppy. So the first thing we're doing is with the cutoff right here, A. So both of these oscillators are, so how the signal flow goes is both of these oscillators go into the amp envelope, and then from here into the filter, right? Or actually, it's oscillator A into filter A. So these are both oscillator A, so it's, yeah. So our cutoff is going to be about 12 o'clock, right? So just to show you what that's doing. And then what this attack and this envelope is doing is the attack. See how I have it 100%? So that's the attack of the cutoff. So you can hear how it kind of kicks in. It's like if you were doing this with the knob. Right? But it does it automatically. So that's how I'm getting like that movement with the filter. And it's kind of automated, I guess you could say. It's just modulated. And then the interesting over here is with the volume of A and B. I don't think I'm using oscillator B. Yeah, I'm not. So what this is doing is giving it that choppiness, right? If I take it out, you could hear what cutoff A is doing with this envelope. Then when I start bringing in this, it's adding a square wave at a rate of 1/16 notes to the volume knob. So it's like the volume knob's turning on and off at 16 notes. So that's what it's giving it that choppy sound. Yeah, so that's pretty much all that's going on in there. So you could do this with any synthesizer that has like where you're able to have assign an envelope to like the cutoff of a filter and the allophone to whatever. You could do it. Doesn't matter. So let's move on. Right. So what else I have here is an EQ cutting out all the low end and a reverb, just widening it up a bit. So let's hear that real quick. You can really hear the reverb tail. Right, so you get that. It's pretty basic, nothing insane going on right there. Let's have a look at the second synth. I don't even know what that's doing. Let's see. So that's really nice sounds. I like that. Let's see. Let's get into that silent. So it looks like it's basically the same patch as the other one, except I don't have that volume thing going on. So, right? It's basically the exact same thing as the other one. Boom. So this one's giving more of like just a general layer of background, and the other one has that volume effect that's chopping through. But what else is that's interesting on this one that differs from the other one is I threw on this auto pan, right? So this is going to make it pan side left to right. It looks like it's going at 1,000 hertz per second. So you can hear it going left and right. So it's just super wide in the background. So let's see if we have both of these. Right? Let me see, what are these chords over here? So it's... My keyboard isn't pitched right, but yeah, you get the point. So it's just doing that, both of those things together. So nice, huge pad sound, you know, and it's like, you know, it's really catchy, those chords put together. So it looks like we're just going here from F to C, F to C, back to E. Pretty basic chord progression, just up and down. But what really starts making it interesting is when we get to this part, but we'll get there, don't worry. Alright, so then next what we have in line is this part. So I noticed like in house music a lot, they have like those kind of piano stabs, right? So I wanted to, that's gonna like kind of be like my more rhythmic synthesizer, I guess you could call it. So, like it has that rhythm to it. And I'm pretty sure I just played that in like that and then quantized it. And this kind of stuff you probably do want to quantize because it's more like, you know, has that synthetic feel. So let's see what's going on in there. Pretty sure it's M1. Yeah. So an M1 is pretty dope. So what I used was like the piano preset that's in the browser, right? So, but this thing's easy to screw up. So here, boom, let's listen to it. What did I say it was? FC. Yeah, whatever. But you get the point. It's just like these piano keys. I don't think I really did much editing. This M1 synth is pretty dope. It has a lot of cool built-in sounds. It's by Korg. But yeah, a lot of the like those bass sounds like that, like just a piano or like a organ, I'll use this synthesizer. You can get pretty in-depth, the oscillator and everything, but I usually don't get too deep into that because it's, you can see it's gets pretty confusing. But there's a lot of just cool presets on there. Right, so now with those three together. Oops. So you can see like I have the same reverb as those other two, pretty sure. Right. Oh no, that actually has a built-in reverb on the pads. But I do have a utility. And it looks like I'm using this to pan it. I'm not sure why I did that. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I think because normally it was panned, like the preset has it panned to the left. So I just balanced it out. So it's in the center. Alright, so next we'll move into these two guys. I'm actually going to move this up here because these two correlate. So I'll start with this one. This is a really cool melodic. It's pretty catchy. So let's take a look at what that is. So I basically, as far as the notes go, is I put the same thing that's going on with the stabby piano, and I dragged it into another instance of silent, right? I think I actually started off with this. So I started off with just like those, but I did with like these root notes that were in the stab. And then what I did was I added the melodic notes above it, right? And I just pretty much plugged things in until I liked where it was going. And if you saw how my making beats from scratch, what I'll do is I'll start something and then I can kind of hear in my head where it needs to go. It's kind of weird, but if you get it, you get it. So let's go to that silent. That one's gonna be a bit different, right? Oh, I guess not. So it's the same thing, square waves, 8 voices, detuned with the saw wave, 2 voices. But with this one, it sounds to me... Yeah, well, what's making this one sound different is because the notes are a lot shorter, right? Like the length. What is that? It's probably 8th note. Yeah, they're 8th notes. Whereas over here, we had nice long, like, whole notes, almost 2-bar, 2-bar notes, right? So it's longer. So what that's doing is the sound is gonna be more, because since we have that envelope on the cutoff for the filter. So it's going to be a lot more just lower frequencies. Whereas if I were to hold it, all the frequencies come in because the filter, like I said, is moving like this. Right? So yeah, we have that. If you and then just keeping it simple, high pass filter, another reverb. This one has a shorter tail because you don't want to have too much reverb going on. So now with both of these put together, you're gonna really hear what's going on. So let's hear that one by itself. Right, so you could hear like those notes are basically being borrowed from this top one, from these high notes over here. And I just kind of like plugged and played ones that I liked to stand out, right? So it's just making the sound a little bit more interesting because those certain notes have a different sound on top of them. So let's see, yep, same patch again, but this time it's not pitched up an octave. I think I just played it higher on the keyboard, actual keyboard. And it's the same thing again, boom. But our cutoff's a little bit different. Our attack time's a little bit faster, so you get like those fast. Yeah, it's a really cool sound. So just detune, cut off here, faster attack, so you're getting more of the higher frequencies faster. So I basically just use the same, a lot like how I make my lo-fi songs, where I use like the same lo-fi synth sample, but do different things on different octaves and frequencies, right? So you can see the differences I did weren't that big of a deal, but it just like each element has its own sound. Sometimes that's all you got to do is just add a little bit of variation with the sounds and do something a little bit different melodically, and everything kind of blends together really well because you're not like having too much phasing going on or anything like that. Yeah. So that's that. Next we'll get into the bass. The bass is pretty nice too. So we'll hear it with bass, right, and drums. You could see how the bass is kind of going along with the melody. I don't think I copied it exactly, but I just like started the bass like probably using this, drag all these root notes into my bass thing, which you could see like these are the root notes right here, and then some of them in between I just pitched them up, down, just to follow the melody of the song. Right, so let's get into the sound of that. So I used Zeta bass for that. On the first oscillator, it's just a vintage square wave. And the second one is a vintage square wave. Nothing too crazy going on here. On the envelope for the amp, it looks like I just have like a quick attack, a little bit of release, because you could see those notes are just like 16th notes. So that's why they kind of ring out, is because of that release. And that's kind of like how 808s are, you know? So instead of using 808 sample, I just like kind of made my own 808 sound here. That's how it sounds up high. Yep. So you can see how I did that there. Did I use that? No, it's off. So yeah, it was just straight square waves basically. and then I change the polyphony to 1 because usually bass is just 1. And what that is like if I hit 2 notes, the first one's not going to ring into the second one. The first one stops as soon as the second one's hit. Because especially with these low frequencies, like if they start piling on top of each other, it's going to get sounding really muddy and screwed up, you know. So yeah, then I have Sidechain. I have a limiter on it, but I think what really gives it a good sound is a saturator. That's what gives it like an 808 kind of sound. So I have it set to analog clip, which is like simulating analog preamp being pushed to past 0, basically, to put it easy terms. So what it does is it just kind of distorts the sound. And I have the frequency set to 784, the 35 width, and yeah, it's just like giving it a distorted sound. And then my EQ. You can hear how it gets overpowering really easily. Just tamed it, and the limiter's taming it as well, so that the level stays consistent. And I have it set to mono, 100%, which is usually what you do with low frequency elements. And I have it sidechained. So yeah, it's the bass. Next we'll go to drums. So the drums are pretty cool as well. Let's have a listen. So you can see again, the kick drum is following these stabby keys right here. Watch, let's have a listen to that. Yeah, so everything's kind of following that main rhythm that those keys established in the beginning. The choppiness and all that. And I usually don't put kick drums under the snare for this kind of music, just because it sounds kind of funky to me. And without the kick there, it kind of gives it more of a groove. So yeah, let's get it deeper into the drums. So the snare sample, let's have a listen. So that's off of the Lex Luger pack, right? You guys have seen me use that quite a bit. And they're really good samples, like you barely have to even do anything to them. All I did was add reverb. Right, and the kick. So you'll notice the kick kind of doesn't have too much low end to it. I cut it out, because most of the low end is coming from that bass. Right, if we listen to the bass and the kick together. Because I really wanted the actual, and plus my bass synth is acting like a 808, so it's kind of like filling in that low end for the kick. You don't want to have too much low end going on, especially with this, because the bass is really melodic, so you want to hear those notes. And what else you'll notice is like my sub mix here for the drums is at 0, whereas everything else is lower. That's usually how I start my drums, because I want them to be louder than everything else for the most part. I want them to really pop, especially for this kind of music. So next we go to the hi-hat, the closed hi-hat. So this one I think only comes in on certain parts. Let's have a look real quick. So it's more like just a rhythmic hi-hat. Yeah, it's this one right here. So it's doing like a pattern like that. Listen to it. So it kind of has its own little groove going on. I like doing that, you know, kind of keeps like it's like a subconscious groove in the back of your mind. And then on top of that is the other hi-hat close, and this one's more driving the rhythm, right? You can see that's this one right here. And you can hear how this other hi-hat kind of complements it and keeps the groove going, you know. So let's go to our, what's next? Crash. So we probably have a crash at the beginning of every 2 bars, right? 1, 3, 5, 7. So it's just the beginning hits, just emphasizing that. You could hear one's pan to the right and one's pan to the left. So that kind of emulates a real drummer, because usually they'll hit the crash at the beginning of the whatever bar. And yeah, those are same samples are from Lex Luger. And what I forgot to mention on that other hat close is I have the auto pan going for 8th notes, right? So you can hear it panning left and right. And I like doing that for these kind of things, especially for like the faster paced hi-hat, because it's gonna be bouncing around left and right. It makes the drums a little bit wider. So yeah, what's this third cymbal? Let's see what that's doing. Cymbal 3, it's right here. It looks like it's on the upbeat. So you can hear it just on the upbeat, keeping another rhythm, right? It's just, yeah, I like doing that. Having something on the upbeat just keeps the kind of groove alive. And then we have an open hi-hat, which is only here and at the end. Yeah, so it's another thing, just little variant here and there, right? Nothing too crazy, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much does it for the drums. See if I have anything on the whole thing. Nope. So yeah, you can see all these are pretty good samples. Just Lex Luger. I dig it. So our next element that we have is this feature stabby thingy. It's like a arpeggiated thing. Yeah, so that's another instance of silence. What it's doing is playing those 4 notes that are, again, being played here on the stabby piano, but it's arpeggiated to, what, 16 notes? Yep. So it's just da-da-da-da, and then I have the delay going, ping pong delay. But let's look at this. Looks like it's the same exact thing, right? Just a little bit different on the cutoff here. See the attack 0, sustain, so it kind of just faster on that filter. Let me play it. So let me find the chorus. So that's it. Just doing that. Alright, anything interesting? No, just the only main difference is this cutoff is at 0. So this cut is basically not really doing much. I don't think it'll sound much different if I turn this off. Oh, it does. So actually what it is doing is, it's like, again, the attack is like the speed at which this knob is going. So the speed is like really fast. So right here, that's like with the cutoff, that's like with this doing nothing. Then you can hear it's really stabbing at the sound. Alright, because that cutoff is just shooting all the way up every time I hit a key. Keep it simple, right? So yeah, altogether, I think the song comes out pretty awesome. It's just a different sound, you know? That's why I did this tutorial on this song, because it sounds a lot different than any other tutorial I've done, and just so you guys get a look at something else. But I think it just has a really good rhythm, and the melody is pretty catchy. The only other thing is on the master bus, I have this glue compressor. I have it on the Make It Loud preset, and basically just like glues everything together. But what's really making it louder is this limiter here, the Pro Owl. And that's pretty much just smashing it together and giving it louder. So yeah, pretty much does it for this. Keep it simple. I am gonna try to do some live stream making beats live. If you guys could comment like what time I guess would be the best. I was thinking like 7-8 o'clock. That's usually when I start getting a lot of viewers. But yeah, make sure you subscribe, comment some more ideas of videos for me to make, and I'll be sure to get to it. Thanks guys.